Hello and good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of our LinkedIn Live series with our fabulous Nowbo members. Today, I am joined by Avilia Guardiola, who is the owner of Avilia Coaching and Consulting. Welcome, Avilia.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Akila.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so you are so multifaceted, so multi-talented. You really have such a fantastic background as well. Walk us through kind of what led you to starting your own business and coming here to San Antonio.
Yeah, so there's a significant history. So I'm a very proud daughter of immigrants, and I was born around the natural hustle. My mother's family were migrant workers around Texas, and my father also came from a farming industry. So, when they planted seeds in Arizona, they really planted seeds, and they try to water us as much as possible with all their work ethic, because God bless them, that was the best attribute they could have ever given me. And so, um, I was very fortunate from that. So I was a hustler since 14 years old, and I was very, very fortunate to be surrounded by mentors. And I got to be a part of very significant circles, which is why I joined NABO, right? Because I understand from a very young age the power of network. And I have been it has been a very fruitful experience for me to be a part of these types of circles. And so I had mentors, I had organizations. I can't list them all because it is an entire tribe and community who raised me. And I had the opportunity to go to Arizona State. And then after that, while I was there, I had an internship at Walgreens. It was very hard as a freshman to get internships, as a sophomore to get internships. And so I did a utilities and power company in my freshman summer. And then my sophomore summer, Walgreens pulled me on. And I was just fascinated at retail and the strategies and the marketing, and it was a fantastic opportunity. And then my mentors basically said, no, we're going to kick you to Wall Street. Like, you've got to make some money, like you've got to change the generation or the wealth generational cycles of your family. Like, what do you think? And when they showed me the numbers, I'm like, I'll start there.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, sign me up, right? And I had such an incredible opportunity. I had fantastic mentors again, and certain leaders in the companies that I worked for. I worked for Bank of America Merrill Lynch, that really, really just planted seeds in me and gave me a lot of confidence and trust, and gave me the wings to run, right? The wings to fly, the legs to run, because not all bosses let you just kind of run. And they did. And so it was a great opportunity. And then I ended up going to work for a nonprofit where I was helping other minorities and women get to Wall Street. And so learned a lot there in terms of coaching and mentoring. I really felt like I could give back. So this thread of community and giving back is a life cycle for me. It's just something that has to happen and is inherent in my DNA because of my parents as well. Every time we go back to Mexico, my father, who doesn't have much of an education but learned so many trades on his own, was helping people put electricity in their homes. My mother was running the vacation Bible school for the summer. Like, we would just take, and so my parents were this is a whole community. Life is a community. And so uh, I went to Harvard Business School, and then I came to HEB because I thought, I want to drink of this Kool-Aid. What is this people first? What is this Texans matter? And I just thought, from a leadership perspective, that's where I wanted to hone my skills as a leader. Now, I had a fantastic run, and I got my last stint. I was a buyer at HEB, but this last part was around e-commerce. So I took a year off because I unfortunately lost one of my brothers, and I had been running since I was 14. And I thought, I want to give my time to my family. And so I spent time with my family, and then I got bit by the entrepreneurial bug, which I had already had. I'd launched a disposable underwear company before, and, just things like that, I just kind of did on the side to learn business better while I was in business school and things like that. But I really got bit by the bug, and it's been hard to ever think about going back to corporate. And, again, back to community. My focus is in e-commerce. And so, since 2019, the e-commerce space has grown 29% year over year. that is a one chart business right there, right? A one chart that will really show you the boom. In the past, if you had a product, if you had something you wanted to share, you had to hope to get into a retailer. You had to hope to get into HEB, into Walmart, into Target. You really don't need that now. And I am seeing my clients have better return on sales than being within some of these retailers because
Mm,
they've gone deep into the e-commerce channel.
mm,
And it's quite interesting, and it's such a beautiful time to be in. And again, I think Walgreens for their experience, and absolutely think HEB for that experience. But I just, the data in e-commerce is just a fun part for me to really dig into the data, and
mhm.
that's how we kind of got onto this path. Long story.
No, it's phenomenal. It's such a journey, and I love that you have, gone other places and gotten the pieces that you needed, and then have, chosen to kind of come back and support your, community here in Texas. So, walk me through, e-commerce. I think there's so many elements, and you specialize in that consulting for e-commerce brands. What is your favorite part? What do you love to be able to step in and do for brands? Is it brand new? Is it legacy brands? Is it, where do you kind of want to fit in if you could take your pick?
Yeah, I in one of my past jobs, someone told me, Avilia, I felt like I was drinking water from a fire hose, and I couldn't breathe. I didn't know. So my favorite part is when I get some of these established, and by established, it just means you've dedicated yourself to this full time, and
Mhm.
you're producing sales, right? And so I haven't really niched into, oh, you need X amount of sales to work with me. I work with teams that have committed their time to this business full time.
Mhm.
And my favorite part is when I can run the analytics for them, run the data, show
Yeah.
them the insights, where it's coming from, and they finally see a day of light, right? They get to see that silver lining to them that's like, oh, now I understand why my sales are in the position they are, or why I feel overwhelmed, or why those promotions weren't working, right? And that's in tandem with social media, right? Which is, I know, what you do in your business. That I'm not a specialist in that, but I know what you do is such a powerful tool, right,
Mhm.
in this game. And so yeah, my favorite part is just the clarity that I can bring them from the finances
Mhm.
about how e-commerce is performing. And that's everywhere from their sales numbers to how things look and feel and click and shift online, the whole experience, the user experience. The
Yeah.
user experience and the financial clarity is where I love to play.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a particular product category that you're seeing a lot of exciting movement, or you think, hey, this is going to be the next big thing in 2025? Is there anything that's kind of catching your eye and getting you excited?
I wouldn't say it's a particular product. What I will say is that people want to buy brands that have impact. They
Mm,
want to, any company who can story tell behind their product, where a customer feels, not only am I buying X product from you, but I know that when I buy this, it's doing also A, B, and C. And
right.
so I think that the consumer is now shifting into a very impact driven mindset in terms of how they consume, because Lord knows, inflation has worked numbers on us, even just when it comes to food. I think it's, it's just that we can get into another story about that. But I just think that people want to spend where there is impact.
Mhm.
And that's the part of the storytelling through e-commerce, through the marketing of what they're doing and how things are showing up with the user experience, that people are not all companies have completely had an awakening to.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think we, when I was in college, we called it like corporate social responsibility. Then we started to say, ESG, what's your ESG? And I think now that we're shifting the conversation more towards, are you choosing to spend your dollars in a way that, is indicating to the brand, this is the direction that I want to go, using your purchase power to make an influence or an impact, is sort of the most, I think, evolved version of it that actually does make a difference and move the needle. So walk me through, you've been in the hustle and bustle of New York City, you've been in the Harvard spaces and hallways and classrooms and all of that. What do you feel like is unique about the San Antonio market in terms of our startup ecosystem or our entrepreneurial, ecosystem? What do you see here that is different?
It took me a minute to get deeper into these circles. I feel like when you're in New York City, everything is thrown in your face. Everyone talks about everything. Everything is just front, center, and live. And it's just ingrained into the DNA of the city.
Mm-hmm.
When I got to San Antonio, it's a much smaller town, but
Right.
it's a big city that has big resources and great talent. And it did take a minute to get there. But when I started to discover the community, it's such a powerful community. There are so many organizations tapping into entrepreneurs, tapping into the ecosystem of entrepreneurship that it's, I mean, I could name a list of the different resources that exist for an entrepreneur. Everything from the libraries to the city to the co-working spaces to organizations such as Nowbo that are all plugged into this. And it's really really incredible to see that. And I think it's just at the tip of the iceberg. I think San Antonio is in its early stages of a boom that's to come around entrepreneurship, because the talent is here, the resources are here, the ideas are here, and the community is here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. And I feel like too, HEB has kind of set a great tone that some of the larger companies have also followed suit, that, you have that bond with the San Antonio community. You stay loyal to that bond with the San Antonio community. So what would be your dream, for Avilia Coaching and Consulting in the next, 2, 3, 5 years? Where do you want to take it? Either here in San Antonio or beyond? What's the vision?
Ooh, I think I would uh be very very moved if I can get when I get a company
There we go. Yep.
to a position where they are either, depending on what they choose to do, whether they are either acquired by a larger brand
Yep.
or they are able to get significant investments into their company, 2, 3, $4 million
Mhm.
invested into their business. To me, that would be the ultimate goal, is helping them so strategically that they are ready, that someone has recognized them and says, here, I'm offering y'all millions of dollars for your business. You've done an incredible job. And that
Mhm.
family can just reposition itself in its existence, right? Because wealth changes lives, right? And if they're able to build a brand with impact and I get to be a part of that journey, that to me is the ultimate ride out in this industry, is getting a business to that level.
Mhm, mhm. Well, and to your point, the piece that you do, the data is, vital to that process. You could have the best perception, the best brand, the best look and feel of your, e-commerce product in the world. But when somebody actually goes to look under the hood, if they don't find clear cut, fully transparent, ready to go data, there's a lot of buyers that are immediately going to say, nope, not for us, no thanks. So I feel like it's so critical what you do. What does it look like? Walk us through, if somebody's watching this and they have an e-commerce brand and they're like, oh, she's totally what we need. We've got to look at our data. We've got to look at our numbers. What does that look like to actually work with you? Kind of walk us through that process of working with Avilia Coaching and Consulting.
Yeah, so I always love to give you a free hour of my time. I think that's so important because I'm not in this for the short burn and turn. I really want to be integrated into your business, and I really want to make sure that you think I'm the right fit for you, right?
Mm,
Because I can be I am very data and analytic driven, but I also go and I love to work with clients who are like, I am ready to go, where because as a consultant you need information from the company as well, right? I can't just dream up everything in my head. And so
mhm,
I always love to give any business who might be interested in working with me a free hour of my time, where I either come out to your business or we can meet at a coffee shop and we can really talk about what those issues are, because within the first hour I can tell whether I'm going to be able to add extreme value to your situation, or I will leave you with incredible resources to continue to move on your own,
mm,
before you're ready to perhaps bring on someone as a consultant. So, reaching out to me via Gmail or via LinkedIn is obviously the easy first step.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I feel like too, that's in the consulting world, that's such a huge indicator of your integrity and ethics that you are willing to say, nope, you're actually not ready for me yet. I don't want to take your money for the sake of taking your money. Like, come back in 6 months, a year. I want to see this. I want to see that. And giving them sort of that input and invite and insight, in that first hour is huge for them to be able to walk away with. So give us an idea. How did you actually discover Nowbo? How did that come about, or what was that process like?
I met a fantastic woman here in San Antonio who introduced me to it. And she told me about the resources, and I just thought the first thing was women, right? I
Mhm.
just think that, the truth is women really haven't had access to what is the most critical component of being an entrepreneur, which is financial resources, until
Mhm.
the 70s. And
Mhm.
so women, I think, are the next big bet to me in my head. And I really wanted to be surrounded by entrepreneurs. I really wanted to make the jump and really build that network and see what's the pulse because look, comparison is terrible when you're like putting the overlay of your whole life. But comparison is incredible when you're looking at other businesses that are thriving in San Antonio. And it's very hard to understand what you're missing out on if you're not sitting at the table.
Mhm.
And I feel like when I was introduced to Nambo, even the Instagram, like it's really fascinating to just go through the Instagram. They do this like publishing of new members, and they have the details of who these people are. So
Mhm.
even before you join or even go to an event, you can get a taste for what's really happening there. And
Yeah.
these are heavy hitters. Like this is not like we're just starting our, but no, these are like full on thriving businesses and women and who are really dedicated to this space. So
Mhm.
and there's always great food. So me and food like that, those events, I love it. So
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think that might be the first time somebody has brought up specifically, like, the food is good, guys. Don't worry. You can totally feel secure in your choice to come and be a part of Nowbo. The food's going
as
to
an entrepreneur, you got to make sure you eat because sometimes you just get really busy. And I know that when I have the Nowbo monthly event schedules, it's like, okay, I get lunch and I get to do this incredible thing. Let's go.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I feel like too, especially when you're first starting out in your business, it at least for me when I first joined Nowbo, and I don't know how much you've been able to kind of tap into this yet, but it was so nice for me when I felt like as I'm growing, okay, I'm ready for an accountant, I'm ready for a financial advisor, I'm ready for, sort of your board of advisors for your business. And I wanted to go with women who like understood my journey, understood like what I was going through, more so than just, Googling and finding a random, person. So do you feel like you've been able to make some of those connections with women who can help, in the facets of your business where you are learning that entrepreneurial side?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, let's just take for a simple example. After every event, I mean, most women stick around and network, right?
Mhm.
And the opportunities that I've had to have conversations around what are you doing, and even just getting ideas about, the direction that I'm taking in my businesses and just, letting someone pick your brain, you pick their brain. And it's just, is a fabulous resource. I mean, everything from what you said, right? Because everyone needs an accountant, but you don't want to just hire any accountant. You want to hire an accountant. You want to be excited and you want to have fun with who you build your business with. Like this
Mhm.
is your opportunity to design life your way from every single component to who you hire, who you partner with. And that's something you can't do at a large corporation, right? You don't get to pick and choose. Like you're just kind of given a seat and you got to go with it. And you learn how to go through the experiences. When you're building your business, you literally get to build your beautiful empire block by block. And Nowbo has all kinds of blocks that you can add to your empire. I mean, all the way down to there's lawyers in there, right? For your estate planning, which is so critical and not often thought about, I think, in some of the businesses, but you do need that succession planning in case something happens, right? You do need, um, uh, uh, like you said, the accountants, you do need the marketing, you do, I remember one of the presentations, we had a company that had a woman who had a roofing company, right? It's like, you don't have to think so far when you get challenges. Like Nabo is just a great life plug in
Mhm.
general.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. We have everything down to like, who do you use for pest control? We've got some options for you. Don't worry. Um, So wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so tell me more, Avilia. You are a busy lady. You got a lot going on. What are some things that you've got coming up? What are you excited about here coming down the pipeline for the rest of this year into 2025? What are some things that people can be looking for to connect with you?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna get deeper into the entrepreneurial community here in San Antonio and really start showing up at pitch events and really start showing up and just, I am so blessed with the opportunities I have been given that, if I look at what does the rest of the year look like, it's continuing to coach and mentor businesses. But more than anything, I really am looking forward to being a resources in places that I never knew I could be a resource,
Mm,
like attending events and, just being parts of networks. And I really just want to contribute a little bit more to the community, right? Like
mhm,
I said, I've been blessed with so many opportunities, even just having conversations with people and sharing my information, just being a vessel of information is
mhm,
really my goal for the next, for through the end of the year. I have to do strategic planning for how I'm going to launch in the new year. And there's this incredible opportunity that I have. I'm also, like you said, I know I do a lot of things.
mhm,
I'm also the co-founder of a company called Launch Etc. And we're actually going to incubate in Austin for 2 months. So October, November, I will be at in an incubation experience by Antler, and we are actually building tools to help this community that I'm already helping. Because as
mhm,
I come in, there's more efficient ways to do a lot of this stuff, and
mhm,
so I got a fantastic team, and we said, okay, let's give it a shot. Let's build it. So we'll
mhm.
be building in Austin for 2 months, and we'll see how we come out on the other end of that. But all related again to e-commerce and coaching and consulting in the space, because this is booming, and I think we're barely at the tip of the iceberg on what's to come
Mhm.
from a consumer experience in e-commerce.
Yeah. I attended a kind of like mastermind, I guess, dinner about succession planning and selling your business and exits and things like that. And one of the things they talked about was the churn these days of selling your business is so fast because of things like AI, because of things like, all the resources that
Mhm.
are out there for you. It shouldn't take you, 50 years to build something. You should be able to like build it, see if it's working, scaling it, in 2 years, in a year, in 6 months. Like that aspect of entrepreneurship, I think, is so unique to the time that we're living in right now. That it's not give it 10 years and then we'll decide what to do. It's like, no, you need to be moving fast. So how do you take care of yourself in that world of, I'm consulting, I'm moving, I'm shaking? How do you make sure that the pace of what you're doing doesn't also burn you out as an individual?
Yeah, I love this question because I would say prior to me taking my year off, I would have just said, "What are you talking about? Just push, just go," right?
Yeah,
Like you got to get things done.
suck it up, buttercup, right?
Exactly. And, I took my year off and it was like my body kind of told me, you need a lot of rest. And it's
Mhm,
like, when it's like when you have a big event and then you get sick the day after because your body was just like getting you through it, right? I
yep.
felt like since I was 15 years old, that's what my body did. And then I took a year of rest and it was just this whole different experience. And, I also put myself on a very significantly tight budget a few years leading up to my year off. And
Mm,
so I shed a lot of my identity that was tied to how I spend.
mm,
And I was very strategic with unbecoming, right? Unbecoming a lot of things to just take the space to be me,
mm,
which was I loved. I come from a family of ranchers and things like that. And so, just really taking the time to be and exist. And it sounds crazy, but I like taking a few minutes to just be out in my garden, watering my garden, like tending to the bird feeders, like that. Like I would have laughed kind of like 10 years ago, like, oh, that's cute. But now it's like, just turn your mind off and connect with nature for a minute. And
yep.
it's so beautiful because of exactly what you said. Working harder and grinding, yeah, that was good for years ago when you had to build a business. You don't really have to operate that way anymore. Now it's all about intellect and intelligence and being able to utilize resources like AI, which means that you have to recharge your brain. You
Mm,
have to recharge your body and your so the gardening is definitely a big thing. You know, I I have a fiance now, and really taking the time to do things together and just be in fellowship as a relationship. My
Mhm.
Christianity, attending church and all of that, like my spirituality is definitely one that has taken a back seat. And, just giving myself the space to move and feel spiritually has also been so rejuvenating and so recharging and so reassuring,
Mhm.
of what I'm doing and building. And so, um, just it's called the cool kids call it living slow,
Mhm.
right? Take
Yeah.
some time to just live slow,
Mhm.
and not fighting against what my body is, right? If I'm an early riser, be an early riser and be in bed by 8, and who cares what anybody says? Like, designing my life my way is really how I recharge.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't think of a better way to wrap this up. I think that was beautifully said. And I love that you are already living slow and giving yourself that grace, like from day one of entrepreneurship, because there are certainly so many of us that are furiously like sprinting on that treadmill for way too long, and then you figure it out. So you're way ahead of the game. You've already figured it out. So we've got some feedback here from our friend Jason. He commented while we were chatting about Nowbo and said there are some phenomenal business leaders. Thank you so much, Jason. That's really, really kind of you to say. And we love hearing from our Now Bros, as we call them. So thank you for the support, Jason. But if you are curious to learn more about Nowbo, we would love to have you join us as our guest. You can scan that QR code right up above me to find out about more of our upcoming events. And I also want to do a little bit of a longer plug briefly about our business bazaar that's coming up in October. So it is going to be at Morgan's Wonderland this year in the beautiful event space that they have there. It'll be indoors. Don't worry if it's still 100 degrees in October. You'll be fine. You'll be okay. But we have vendor applications that are still available. There's still a couple spaces left. So Michael, if you're watching, I did my part. I gave a shout out to Business Bazaar. So please be sure to sign up for that, either attending to come and shop and get your holiday shopping kicked off and underway, or be a vendor. You can be either a product-based business or you can be a service-based business. Any women-owned business is welcome to come and have a table, and we would love to see you there. And you've got a shout out, Avilia. Wendy said thank you for sharing your story. So give us, Avilia, if anybody is listening and has been inspired by your journey or wants to work with you, how can they connect and reach out?
Send me an email on LinkedIn, because I know that's a platform we're on, or a message on LinkedIn, or send me an email, avilia.consulting.usa@gmail.com.
All right, fantastic. And we will drop some of that info in the comments as well. So definitely reach out to Avilia if you are an e-commerce brand and you need some of that data, if you need some of that coaching and consulting. The level of experience that you're tapping into if you hire Avilia is just unmatched. So by all means, be sure to take advantage of that. And hopefully we will see you at a Nowbo event very soon. Thank you so much, Avilia, for joining us today.
Thanks, Akila.